This is the Tesla Model 3 2024 beautiful red standard range rear-wheel drive car. It is really a beautiful car. It has about 260 horsepower. That is plenty. It is very quiet to drive, very pleasant actually. It steers very light. The car is very heavy, but it steers very light. It is a nice experience when driving, quiet and nice experience when driving. But I have a few remarks. The beautiful door handles, very nice. Walk-on approach and then just open the car. Well, but it's not opening. The app is not running. I have my phone in my hand, I'm filming with it. But as long as the app is not running, the car key doesn't work. So I have to open the app and to tell the Tesla to open the car. Bluetooth is running, I have my earpods in. It's just not connected. So the walk-on approach is not nice. It's very streamlined, it is beautiful like that. Car's a bit dirty. But this is a stupid way to open a door. That's just, what's wrong with just gripping something? I'm not the only one entering the car. I of course know how it works because this is my car. But in some situations, people they just don't get it. It's not comfortable. It is not nice. It looks nice, but it is a reinvention of a problem that was not a problem. Inside, we also have a fix for a problem that was not a problem. To open the door, you have to press this button and then you can push out the door. This is an emergency ledge to force dump the door open, but then the window won't go down and you will just push it out, damaging this rubber holding pad. But of course, this is my car, I know how it goes. But people that are new to this car, they're new to Tesla, because they used to all other cars, they use this. Because this feels more logical to pull something instead of pressing a button. Because of course, all kind of people are inside the car. It's not only me that is known with Teslas, but a lot of people, they're not. And this is what happened. They just force out the door, damaging the trim. This is just not necessary. Any other way than approaching it like this feels stupid. Let me try it with my right hand, the driver's side. If I go in, what do I do here? Go like this? Pull it like that's just, it looks ridiculous. Use my finger like that. This is all, what is this? This is totally ridiculous. It just doesn't work. We have the frunk, beautiful place to store your charger, because you're gonna need that one. Also not padded inside. The thing is, you have to open the latch from inside or with your app, and if you close it, you have to use your both hands next to the Tesla. If you press somewhere else, this is very thin metal, you will just bend the car. So what's happening when you take out your golf course or whatever you put in there, you need your both hands. So right now I have to lay down the phone to close the car to not damage it. That's preposterous. Why would you install an electric door latch in the back of the truck, in the frunk, and then just use a manual open and close system where you need your both hands not to damage the car? That's just not a good design. Let's talk about the rear seats. This is a beautiful place to be. The material feel actually very nice. Also the air vented seats, they are very nice. They're very comfortable. They're hard enough. The fact that you can use these ventilation, that's very nice. The interface is a touchscreen. Let me check if I can, there we go, adjust the brightness. It's a touchscreen where you have to interact with things of the car. You can adjust the volume, you can play some movies or play some games. But why? The percentage of persons sitting in the back, it is very low on my end. Anyway, I don't have children. Why would you need a screen like that? It is almost as big as the phone that I'm using right now. Why would you need yet another screen to interact? You can turn off the screen, I often do, but you have to do it every time you step in your car. Talking about efficiency, this is an electric car. Everything that uses electricity is draining your mileage. Your mileage is already a lie, it is very short, and still you have a screen that is always on in the back with nobody sitting here. There's sensors everywhere, there's cameras looking at people's faces. Why can't they just turn off the back screen when you're not there? You're eating kilometers, you're eating mileage. That's just not necessary. Let's talk about the parking sensors. So it doesn't have parking sensors, it only have this little infomercial, which is very nice. You can see what's around you. It tells you never to stop, it tells you never to go. But there's a bike in front. There's a whole bike. It just doesn't see it on there. It just doesn't give you any warning there's a bike. All right, there's not a person on the bike right now, but still, it's a bike. It will do some serious damage if we drive over it. Right now, I can see it with my eyes, but there's cameras everywhere on this car. Why can it show me the bike? Why can it visualize that in fact there is a bike? Oh, I didn't even know you can move around with that like that. Anyway, if a child or something would put a smaller bike in front of me, I won't see it. I will just drive over it because it says it's a clear road. If you have a thing like this showing the whole world in a 3D visualized way, it's better that you can see what's in front of you, I think. And that's often the case, that the car doesn't see certain things and do see other things. Like right now, I'm alone in the garage. The example is not very accurate right now, but often it sees people walking around in the garage. That's very strange. See around me or visualize around me persons walking in front of me, besides me, which is pretty strange. I'm alone in the garage. Let's see in the back. Often it says stop way too early. When you park and you say it's a new car, you want to take care of it. You stop whenever it says stop. So you park in a European parking space, and then your ass is sticking out of the parking space way too much. Your ass is your front, whatever way you're parking. It sticks out way too much. It says stop way too early. There is cameras in the back. Of course, we can see that's nice. And I also have my tow hook as a reference. But in the front, there's a camera up here. And it doesn't allow me to see in front. It doesn't give me a parking sensor. It just gives me this infomercial. Doesn't see what's in front of me. Let's talk about this beautiful screen right here. It is very large. It is in the center, a bit of a strange position for the driver being. But all right, there's a nice GPS right there, but it's not up to date. You have to pay 10 euros a month to be able to use up-to-date streets. I'm here in Europe. Often, if I try to use it, it gives me not the fastest route, not the shortest route. It just gives me a route. Often driving on private people's property and thinking or using it as roads, that's just not usable. So I have this beautiful 45,000 euro car, and I'm using a mount to use Waze, to use Google Maps, to use an up-to-date online GPS, because this is just preposterous. I have multiple vehicles. I don't want to pay monthly for options for a car I already bought. 45,000 euros. Let's talk about the steering wheel. They made it as clean as possible, so the only interaction you need is the steering wheel. You can use the pinkers, the blinkers, beautiful. You can use the other one, very nice. You can scroll up and down. You have your lights. But when you put your steering wheel the opposite side, which side is which? Here in Europe, where a lot of streets have roundabouts, you're doing a corner and your blinkers are the other way around. So what I do is, when I make a turn, I get my finger on the one that I needed to exit the turn. When my finger is there, then I push it, so I make sure I'm able to blink on the roundabout in the right direction. Again, I drive multiple vehicles. This is fixing a problem that's not necessary. I got an upgrade and installed a fucking blinker from probably a previous model or whatever, just to be able to use the stockings instead of using these stupid buttons on the screen, which is totally not necessary. Let's talk about the next thing, the headlights. It has these beautiful, very strong white beams. They are automatic, and they're not just automatic on and off. No, they are actually doing some kind of light show. So you have, 6 lights on every one, or 5 lights, whatever, on every light, on high beams. And when it sees a car or person, it goes like here, it will actually turn off a few of these beams, so this person is not blinded. It sounds amazing, but it's not a good design. It doesn't work. Often when I'm driving, the people are blinded. They are blinking at me. They're flashing. They're showing their lights, signaling me to turn it off. The problem is, at that point, there's a part of the light is blinded and the other part is flashing. To turn off the high beams at that thing, or you can of course go in the touchscreen, which is very convenient, and then find your light somewhere and then just turn it off instead of That's not possible. You're driving. So what you do is you use this stupid button, only one button, not different places of button. No, only one button. You push it to turn it off. How you turn it off? You long press it. So actually the guy is signaling that he's being blinded by your headlights. To be able to push it, to turn it off, you have to long press it. So you have to blind them again with the full force of all your lights to turn off your flashing, your high beams. That's just not a good design. Let's talk about the walkway, auto lock the car. Actually, they fixed that, but in the beginning, it was working only half of the time. Half of the time my car was open, I came back, I'm a bit wet, I came out of the pool. I walked away, my car half of the time was still open when I came back. Because the auto lock didn't work always, it was just sometimes working. That's luckily fixed, and now often when I walk away, it is actually closing down by itself, which is just nice. There you go, it just closed. Talking about the rims, these are some beautiful rims. I'm a really big fan of the design. Actually, the previous ones are a little bit more beautiful, but still these are very beautiful design. The thing is they're very low, they have a very low profile, so they are easily scratched. Although you can see the rim is actually buried a little bit deeper than the car, so you will actually damage your tires first instead of your rims. If you look at the back, that's a bit different, but normally they come with a plastic cover to make sure you have as much range as possible. So they actually hide these beautiful rims to give you more range. If you want more range, turn off the fucking back screen all the time. This is preposterous. To be able to have these beautiful rims exposed, like I have myself, you have to buy you have to buy these little plastic knobs, because else it's just an open hole. They're just open holes. So to be able to have them visually interesting, you have to buy, I don't know what it costs, but why? Just give it with you, give you the ability to use this rim in a beautifully aesthetic way, and not to have some kind of aftermarket. This is probably from China, aftermarket tools to be able to cover up the mess you left behind. That's a bad design. Let's talk about another problem I had with this car. It took me quite a while to figure out what was actually going on. We came back from the north, and we had all our travel bags inside. I don't know, I think we were 4 people. Car was fully loaded with belongings and valuables. But we parked in an underground parking for safety. But it was a very tight one. Often here in Europe, you have underground parkings, very small, made for small cars and big American cars. This is not really a big car, but still for Europe, it is a little bit more wide. It is very tight. I parked myself very close to one of these pillars, and I couldn't get out. Fine, of course, the drivetrain, it is, you have the ability to easily go to the other side, to get out and to exit at the passenger door, which had place to exit. But because I was at the passenger door, the door of the driver didn't open and close, and the car wouldn't lock. So I was there in the garage, and the car wouldn't lock. I used the car key to close it, the A pillar or B pillar, whatever it's called, didn't close. I used the app, it didn't close. I just couldn't figure out why the car was still open. I was outside of the car. I needed to leave. My friends were outside. It took me 10 minutes to figure out that the door needs to be opened and closed, because else you can't lock your car. That's just bad design. I just opened the frunk to talk about the charging. The car just auto-locked. I'm standing next to it, so I can come close to it and open it. It will recognize my phone sometimes, but everybody else not. So actually we're still in front of the car. If somebody else left something in the car, need to get it back because we're still standing next to it, your phone, whatever, you can't open it because it's already auto-locked. Now standing next to it, just give it some space. What is this? That's a bad design. Let's talk about the charger. This is the home charger. When I bought the car, I got it with it. That was pretty nice because that's actually a thing that I used the most. Here in the house, the car electricity apparently is not always that stable. You can use maximum of 13 watts charging with that charger you have right there. It takes quite a while, I think about 26 hours to charge the car completely. When you drained the total battery, which you probably often do because the range is very small, and even it says that it has 431 kilometers of range, the real range is closer to 330 or 320, depending on how heavy your foot is or how straight your road is. I'm here living in Portugal. The roads are not straight. There are hills, there are mountains. It's actually very beautiful here. The thing is, when you charge your car for 26 hours, when you need it, of course you need your range. It will charge, I don't know, I think it's something like 13 kilometers per hour if it's charging on max speed. I need to check these numbers, they can be wrong. But sometimes when you use the dryer or something, an oven or something very strong, powerful, demanding product, the charger will, or the car will recognize that the power has dropped. It will think that the power grid is unstable and it would, for safety, dump the wattage. Again, this is only 13 watts. It would, that's not 13 watts, it's 13 amps. Yeah, something like that. It's probably 13 amps. 13 watts is ridiculous, that's not true. It will dump the charging and you need to come physically to the car, press the button, take the charger out, put it back in to enjoy the full charging speed yet again. Else the car will dump the charging rate and your car won't be charged at the time you think you can have your car charged. Your range will be diluted. You will have to spark at some kind of an electric charger, which often don't work here in Portugal. And you would lose an hour to charge your car because you thought it was charging in the basement, but it was not because it dumped the power rate because you were consuming something else that's also consuming power. When you charge your car, you can use this charger, or you can of course also buy a wall charger where you charge your car at a more rapid speed. Of course, this wall charger is 550 euros right now. It is a very beautiful one. I don't have it. Friends of mine do. The situation is it doesn't cost 550 euros. It costs a lot more because you have to have these thick cables that are wiring in your charger. It is not using the normal charger, normal wiring, of course, because else it would be like this. No, it uses stronger copper wires to be able to force that power through that line. This, of course, definitely now in 2025, I'm recording this, copper price is actually very high. That's not cheap. Depending on where your charger is, it is pretty far away. It's actually space in between, it's ridiculous. The charger is very far away. It costs you lots of money. Also, because a normal house is using, I'm not an electrician, but a normal house is using a certain amount of power, you will be rated at that kind of power. So a normal house would use, let's say, 6. A little bit heavier house or bigger house like this would use 9. Again, numbers are not accurate. They're only here for information purposes to give you an idea. A normal house would use 9, or a bigger house would use 9. A strong house would use 10, or need 10 sometimes, or 12 or 15, whatever. But every time you move up the bracket, all the electricity you consume would be more expensive because you will be a more demanding house. So the total necessity, it would bump up the electricity for everything. So not only for charging your car, but also for using your hairdryer, using your lights, your refrigerator, everything that uses power. The power is at a more expensive rate because you're a more demanding house. You actually have to physically upgrade. I did it, of course, here because I have an electric car. And they come and they do something with the electric box, or they verify it, I have no idea. But then electricity get more expensive. Of course, this is just using the normal charger. When you use the real power charger, the wall charger they call it, that's way higher. The price is way higher. So all your electricity will again be bumped even higher. It would be even more expensive. So charging at home, of course, is cheaper than charging on the road. But still, the rest of your electricity is way more expensive. This is neglectable if you compare it to charging on the road. But still, it is a very important detail, I think. Here, you have this beautiful soft space to put your phones, 2 phones. It's actually a wireless charger. The wireless charging is very inefficient. It's actually losing a lot of power. It is heating up your phone, which is also losing power, and the impact is neglectable, but still it is damaging, or it is creating unnecessary wear of your phone. It's also slower. This is an inefficient way to charge your phone. Everything is, of course, timed, like it was fully charged, but just by standing in the garage, it lost electricity. Now it's 99, it was 100 just yesterday. All right, fine. So I lost already 6 or 7 kilometers just by standing here. Fine, that's not so much. I will come back to that later. Anyway, why would you use this? It's an inefficient way, it's damaging your phone, it's heat up the phone, it's losing more electricity. So actually I use a cable that's coming from the back to be able to charge the car more efficiently. Of course, putting it here also, your phone would be here if you're using it like I have, like I told you earlier, for GPS purposes. This is a very bad spot. You don't want to look down to your phone when you're driving. That's just not practical. It's a strange spot. Also, this is a sports car. It's 260, there we have the ugly rims. It's 260 horsepower. This, when your phone is lying around, you take some heavy corners or something, your phone is moving. This is just, laying somewhere. It's not fixed. It's not like in a cup holder or something. No, it's just laying there. That's a strange design, I would call it. Let's talk about interacting with this beautiful screen. When you want to have your air conditioning, you have to press, then you have to choose how you want to aim it. It's with the touch screen, how hot you want it. It's always when you push it just to put your seat on, it will always start blowing. So okay, that's nice. If you don't want it, you have to turn it off. Of course, I'm sitting here in the garage, but if you want to do it while driving, this is very complicated. Back in the day, I don't know if you remember, we had a nice button right here. You can turn the airco a little bit hotter, a little bit colder. You didn't have to put your eyes off the road. You can just go it, you can feel it, you can adjust it. Here, it is one touch. Then which seat you want, this one, which degrees you want. Here's the degrees. You have to go to degrees. It's multiple touches. You have to look at this whole screen. You have to use this whole screen while driving. Of course, that's dangerous, I would say, but luckily this car has an automatic pilot. Oh yeah, there's a whole new chapter, the automatic pilot. You use the automatic pilot to be able to interact with your airco because else you are distracted from the road. So you need the automatic pilot to be able to have this very complicated, again, you're driving, 90% of your cognitive abilities is used for driving at that moment. You don't want to use anything else with a touchscreen and moving around. No, everything has to be very intuitive, very simple, and very fast. It is not in this case. You use the automatic pilot, fine. What happens is the automatic pilot has a camera right here and it looks at you all the time. It sees that you're not paying attention to the road. So it says, put your eyes on the fucking road, yo. Pay attention, you're driving. So what do? You look at the road, the airco is not done. You look down, the car is bleeping. You're completely in a mess, completely distracted, in a panic. It's sometimes a stressful situation. This is not a good design. Let's talk about autopilot. The selling point of Teslas, although it's a marketing point, I don't know if it's a selling point, definitely is not in Europe. Just like indicated earlier, it doesn't see the bicycle. Can you imagine what it also not others see when you're driving? You're putting your life and your lives of the people inside the car in hands of the car that doesn't even see the bike standing in front of it. All right, fine. If you want to do it, actually, the car has it. I use it. Of course, this is a new gimmick. I want to try it. This is exciting, but it is very dangerous. I had multiple situations where the car, there we have a nice car, was driving automatically and turned it off. So what happened is, if it is a right turn, so actually we here in Europe are left-hand drive. So if it is a right turn, the car would turn left. So it is like we're driving 90 kilometers an hour. We're having this nice right turn. There is on the opposite side coming a truck, a very large truck. The autopilot, what's the word? The autopilot is distracted. It says, wow, I cannot handle this object. It's your turn. It just turns off the autopilot. You think your car is driving for you. In 1 second, it is not. What happening is you're driving 90 kilometers per hour in a right-hand turn. Here is coming a very large truck. The car says, no, it's your turn. The steering wheel will go from the right position straight, of course, because of angular momentum, or what's the term in English? You will go straight inside that truck. I had it multiple times that the car just launched me in the front of a moving truck. I'm doing 90. The truck is also probably doing something around 90. That was a fucking death sentence. If I was on my phone or interacting with the air conditioning at that 3 times it did it with me, I will be dead. I will be dead. I will be dead. And the autopilot did just turn off the last moment, says, I can't handle the situation. You take over. You dead. What happens is if you're driving your car on the autopilot on the auto roads, on the fast lanes, what's the word in English? Highways. On the highways, you will be driving at very consistent speed. It is easy to drive because it's actually only very slow, long turns at high speeds. What happens is, here in Portugal, you always have lanes merging. For some reason, it doesn't really understand the lanes merging. So when it sees it, it sometimes gets confused. You're driving 120 kilometers an hour. The car gets confused. It just slows down to 70. It slows down to 70 in a rather panicky way. Can you imagine somebody else driving in your ass just behind you, you going on the brakes, dumping 50 kilometers from 120 to 70 kilometers an hour on the highway, if he's using his own autopilot, or is he distracted on his phone or whatever, or talking with his girlfriend, whatever, he hitting you in the back. The car would just crash in the back. It would be absurd. Slamming on the brakes at 120 kilometers per hour in a highway is a very bad idea. And it happens to me a lot. It's... If the car is doing, the autopilot is doing stuff like that, that's not a usable product. That's just dangerous. Anyway, let's talk about the range. Oh wow, I dropped again 1%. I didn't even drive it. So earlier it was 99, now it's 98. So the range of the car. It said on the website, the car had 550 something kilometers per hour. This is the basic model. I chose also the basic model, not because it's the most value for money, but also this is an LFP battery, which means they ask you to charge the car one time a week or something to 100%. Actually, the LFP batteries, they can take charging to 100%. If you're using the other batteries, like LiPo and such, it's actually more healthy to stay between 20 and 80%, which means on standard procedure, you would only have 80% of your battery, because else you would be raping your battery. You don't want that. You want to take care of your battery. That's the most valuable thing of your car. So you would be charging on a daily basis your car to 80% to keep it safe. So I thought, well, if this car has 550 kilometers, but I can use all the time 100% of it, the full range, then having a long range with 600 kilometers or something, it's actually less than 20% extra for a lot more money. So why would I do that? Limiting myself to charging it only to 80% to take care of the battery, when actually if I can use the 550 kilometers per hour, that's a way better deal. That's a way better deal. Using 100%, paying less, that's better. That's better value for money. That was my way of thinking. Well, the moment I got it, it said not 550 or 560, it said only 430. It only drives 430 kilometers. And even that is a lie. Let's see if I have some data. No, it deleted it. Well, this is a short drive. But the previous one, I will show you some information of the previous drive. It was a drive of 300 kilometers, actually 290 or 80 kilometers per hour. We drained the battery almost completely. We only had 30 kilometers left. So driving less than 300 kilometers per hour, we drained the full range of 430. Which is pretty strange because it's 100 kilometers less. I'll also show you the picture. Actually, the graph that it shows you here, it was funny. It had, so this is what you used, and the gray line is the projected line. It had a gray line, and it actually did a second gray line. So it did a second projection of how much range you would have, but it was again completely wrong. We used 100 extra kilometers on a drive of 300 kilometers. That's a quick calculation. That's a 33% extra usage of the battery, which means the range is just a lie. I will show you some other video I took during that drive that show you that the car even says you have 200 kilometers of range, and then when you're using your driving, your GPS, it says, wow, you won't make it. And it's only 160 kilometers or something. It tells you have enough range on the screen, but in reality, you won't make it. Get to the charger, you won't reach it. You will probably have to rent a tow truck to get your car to the charger, charge it before that stuff happens. Well, that's, I would say, a bad design. Let's talk about charging in Portugal. It is a disaster. It is for real a disaster. I often charge in the garage, of course. That's very nice for myself with all the things happening I told you earlier. But when charging outside, which is often, of course, also the case. Life is not always a calculation. Life is full of surprises. You will go places you don't plan to go. You will go places further than you plan to go. You will go places further than 300 kilometers, although it says 400 kilometers here. But you will be charging in the wild, let's call it. I have this thing. It is called Mio. That's like a card, and you can use all the charging stations, or almost all the charging stations in Portugal. What I didn't know is there's a very high fee you pay on top of your charging to Mio. So charging is very expensive. If I charge this car not at a Tesla charging station, but at a normal road station, it is more expensive than driving my diesel car. My diesel car, which is from 2015, that's actually 10 years old. I have a 10 years old diesel car. It is cheaper to drive the 10 years old diesel car, driving diesel, than to use the revolution of electronic cars. That's preposterous. So when charging here in the beautiful Portugal, no joke, 1 out of 3 chargers I use, it's actually higher, but you won't believe it. I think 40% of the charger I had contact with was broken. So it is actually very common, mostly in a stressful situation. Range anxiety is real, let me tell you. Mostly in the stressful situations, you come at places where the car chargers don't work. And often it's in a row. Last time I went to Porto in the north, 2 chargers didn't work. The third one was in the basement of a Pingo Dos, which is a local supermarket here. It gives you only free parking for 30 minutes. And during that 30 minutes, the car charged relatively rapidly. It was charging, but after 20 minutes, I got the message from Mayo. The charging rate has dropped significantly. We would suggest leaving the charging station to avoid extra charges or unfair or significantly higher charges. On top of that, so the charger was only charging at full speed for 20 minutes, and I had to leave in 30 minutes because else I had to pay for the underground parking from the supermarket as well. It's also a reduced charging state, of course, because the supermarket is dumping the charging rate. It only calculates in charging rate at a high speed at 20 minutes because also it's more expensive. Also, of course, the supermarket needs the energy for itself. And of course, you want to just get rid of the people that is charging your basement. It is just a gimmick. Of course, you also enter a lot of more money there. The thing is, people park their electric cars in the charging places without charging. So also, if the charger is working, that was also happening in the last trip. If the charger is working, sometimes there's a car there not charging, just parking there. It is not just charging and parking there. No, just parking without a cable. Talking about charging without a cable, often, of course, I have a life. I don't want to sit inside my car. I don't have to wait inside my car. While I'm charging for 10 hours, 3 hours, whatever. I only charge, that's not true. I preferably charge in fast charger. These are relatively expensive, but actually, because you pay fees to Mio, and you also pay timing fees, it is on calculation. Mayo app does the calculation for you, so you can actually compare it very easily. It makes it cheaper to fast charge at a very high price than to slow charge at a lower rate, because you have to pay for the parking spot, you have to pay for the time on that machine and all that shit. So what I do is I preferably use the fast charger. Often they are, look, there's a little bird again inside the garage. Nice to have animals so close by. I use the fast charger. Often it's at McDonald's. I'm charging at McDonald's, putting it in. I'm not a big fan of McDonald's. I won't sit there for an hour. No, I go somewhere, have a drink. Recently we were in the south, the beautiful south, a village called Lagos. It's really worth visiting it. It's in the Algarve. It's a beautiful place. We were there, very nice, charging the car. The car said it takes 1 hour to charge. We thought, all right, we have 1 hour to charge. Let's go have a drink in the harbor. Beautiful spot, beautiful place. Lovely time with my girl at that moment. We're charging, checking my phone, of course, chit chat, and walking to that place. It was a 20-minute or 25-minute walk. Checking my phone. Time flies when you're having fun with your girl. The car was fully charged. But I was paying 50 cents per minute to have my car parked at the parking spot because I was occupying the charger. I was paying 50 cents per minute. I had a 24-minute walk back to the car. I had to pay my drinks and everything. So I paid 14 euros on top of the thing that I charged just to have my car standing there. That is just a bad design. That's preposterous. Remember the time going to the to the gas station, putting the diesel. Less than 1.5 minutes later, I have a full tank, and it gives me 1,300 kilometers of range, and that is projected range. I once drove to skiing holiday. I drove full. What is it? 1,500 kilometers on one tank. 1,500 kilometers, not 300 on a projected 400. No, 1,500 on a projected 1,300 kilometers. That is range. That is fair. That's a fair value for the time you spend at the pump and the kilometers and the range and the time you spend in the car. That's preposterous. The world, Portugal, is not ready for electric cars. You have a lesser of an experience. Your life is reduced. You're working for your car. You're a slave to your car. Where is the convenience? Actually, this is not electric revolution. This is a step back. And of course, you have to take often a step back to make some progress and actually to build a better future. Well, I'm not so happy with the purchase I made of 45,000 euros for this. It is a beautiful car though, but it is not convenient. Also, something I want to tell you is the security system. It's called Sentry Mode. Sentry Mode is very nice. If people approach your car, the cameras will start recording and you will have video of people getting close to your car for security reasons. This of course sounds very nice, but the detail I never heard was that it is using between 4 and 8% of your battery every day. So it is draining your battery, and not only is it draining your battery, eating your range, loss of electricity, that is costing you about 4 euros per day just to have a security feature running. It is very nice to have a security feature running, but why is it using so much percentage of your battery every day? That is preposterous. It is a bad design.